All right, we are live. It is Phalon Reacts, and we're going to be discussing our picks for, well, an X-Men movie. I'm not saying what Marvel should do or whatever. It's just what we would like to see. But first, I want to talk to our guests, get them to introduce themselves. You start, DJ.
Okay, I'm just the odd one, DJ Odyssey, your demented pink bunny, and well, we just do random streams where we get panels up and talk about everything, except on Monday nights we stick to one subject on the Let's Talk stream, and yeah, this week will be Battlestar Galactica original.
Yeah.
Oops. So what about you, Continuum?
I'm continuing Trek, and when I have the time, I throw up a video about Star Trek. I'm a small-time YouTuber. I don't really have much time to throw up videos, but when I do, they're always a joy to make.
That's awesome sauce. So what about you, Ambassador?
Well, I am the Ambassador. You can find me on my channel called The Ambassador, but I might be doing a little smidgen of rebranding on my channel, but you can still kind of find me on my YouTube channel called The Ambassador. You find the night, you found me. I talk about pop culture, modern and retro. I do live streams. I do pre-recorded stuff. I am a fan of pop culture. I try to look at it from a positive perspective and everything. I also look at it from a Christian perspective because I am, well, a Christian. So if any of that sounds cool to you, hop on over and check out some of my stuff. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe. And subscribe to these people, too. I've worked with DJ. I've worked with Phalon, although it has been a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And it has been a very, very long time. But hit that subscribe on DJ. Go over and check out Continuum Trek because although I'm more of a Star Wars fan, I do like good sci-fi. And, well, Star Trek up until recently has been good sci-fi.
Agreed.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, yes,
Anyway.
there is.
I will not get. I'm not going to get into that hornet's nest today.
I know,
We're going
I
to
know.
talk X-Men.
So
We're going to put
Hopefully
our
Pike will save
down.
us.
I'm not going to give him an opportunity. I'm not even going to try. I'm not buying another streaming service. I'm sorry, CBS. You're not getting my money. I'm giving my money to Disney Plus and HBO Max. I'm happy with those.
Ooh.
All right,
Well,
so
Don't ask you, DJ.
as far as movies go, what kind of story would y'all like to see as far as an X-Men movie?
Ooh. Well, I've got two right off the top of my head. I'll let the elder statesman of the stream go first, or if Continuum wants to.
Yeah, sure. If that's okay. Well, one of the stories, one of my favorite storylines was from the animated series that from the 90s. And I know they did the Days of Future Past movie, but it was very different to the original storyline. Because the first time you had, I think in the original one, you had Bishop go back.
No, it's Kitty Pryde.
Oh, Cable. Was it?
No.
But it was a story.
If you're talking about the comic book storyline of Days of Future Past, it's actually Katie Pryde, but they changed it to Logan. They changed it to Logan, but
in the movie,
although Katie Pryde did play. Go ahead.
Well, in the animated series, if I remember correctly, it was Bishop that got sent back, but he lost his memory, and he thought Wolverine was the culprit, but it turned out that Apocalypse himself.
That wasn't really an edit.
It was a 2 to 3 part. It was a 2 to 3 part storyline, and then they continued it with then Cable coming back. It was even further in the future, and then Cable had to come back and stop Apocalypse from destroying the Earth.
I know which one you're talking about. Continuum, that wasn't actually an adaptation of Days of Future Past. That was just a storyline that they put together to introduce Cable and to introduce time travel into the X-Men animated series. It wasn't really based on any X-Men storyline that I was aware of, because Days of Future Past deals with the assassination of a particular political official or whatever, and that particular storyline didn't. It actually dealt with the creation of a anti-mutant virus that wipes out the majority of the mutant population.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. I do remember that story. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's been forever.
It's kind of a mishmash of a couple of different storylines from the comics. That one is based on, the tail end of the Executioner song. And I think they threw Cable in there because, well, not Cable. They threw Cable and they threw Bishop in there and everything because, like I said, the two main time travel characters within X-Men lore up until that point was Bishop and Cable. So
I think with that thought in mind about the whole legacy virus, I think a lot of people would probably not want to see that considering what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, if I might just pop my thing in here, I would actually like to see them do an adaptation of Executioner's Song because it was a great crossover series and everything in X-Men. I actually have the trade paperback of it. I used to have the whole run of it and everything in a single issue, but anyway, but I don't know how y'all would feel about that one, but for me, it's one of my favorite crossovers, truly.
I always loved all the crossovers. Especially when, like, because they did something similar with the Spider-Man animated series where Spider-Man went to the X-Men trying to get help because he was mutating and stuff.
Yeah, I think I remember that one.
Oh my gosh, it's been, 20 years?
Yeah, I remember that one. It was before he realized his cell, Doc Connors had realized his cells were mutating even further. And he thought the best person who knows more about mutants than Professor X to go to visit him, but Wolverine kind of sort of tells him to beat it and knocks him around a little bit.
Oh yeah, because I think it ends up with Spider-Man becoming friends with Beast.
Yeah,
or Hank. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that.
Well, I think the reason, I think one of the reasons why Executioner's Song would be very well received is because it is I think it's in the top 5 really good crossovers that have been done in the X-Men universe that was done, obviously done by Marvel. And you've already got you've got at least one person of the cast already set up and everything, and that's Cable, because I think Josh Brolin I haven't had a chance to see Deadpool 2, but from what I've seen just from clips, I think Brolin did a really good job portraying Cable. Now you just need to build, well, and obviously Cable is one of the main, is really the central figure around Executioner's Song. You just need to build a cast around him.
Right.
So the question becomes, who would that cast be? Because you're dealing with the X-Men team of the 90s and everything primarily. And you'd have to plug in first you need to get a decent script writer who can adapt the story, and then you need to get a decent director who can direct the thing. So
it's like,
I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, my first thought was, it'd be kind of hard in Hollywood right now. It's like, because a lot of the script writers you can't even trust to write a story that's not true.
Woke.
Yeah, well, it's not woke. But I have something to say about that. It's like half of the stuff I've seen that people are saying, oh, this is woke, you go in there and watch it. It's like, it's not woke. It's just boring as heck.
That's true, too. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like you'd have to find a good writer, somebody who knew the story, that had the passion for it. And then you would need to make sure you had the right directors, producers that wouldn't try to sneak an agenda in.
But the great thing about Executioner's Song is it's a story that doesn't really lend itself to any type of that garbage, to be honest with you, and everything, because I remember the story backwards and forwards. I mean, it centers around an attempt on Xavier's life by Cable's clone. Of course, you've got to figure out how you're going to bridge all of that stuff in, because that builds in a lot of lore, particularly with Scott Summers, Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor. Obviously, the fact that Cable is Scott and Madeline Pryor's son, and Jean kind of adopts him as a foster son, in a manner of speaking, even though he's an adult.
Right.
and everything. So you've got to figure out a way to build all of that in, because of course you've got Apocalypse in there. I think Magneto plays a small part in that story. I'd have to go back because I have it, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and really read it through from beginning to end and everything. And it wouldn't be impossible, because for those of you that might remember, Strife was actually a clone of Cable. So there's an easy that it would be relatively easy for them to do a CGI version of Strife, or just CGI the face.
Yeah,
and, I mean, for heaven's sakes, if they can do Thanos, if they can do Thanos and they can do Apocalypse, and excuse me for saying this, but I think the Apocalypse and X-Men Apocalypse was actually very good. I liked Oscar Isaacs as.
I thought he did a great job.
If they can do those, they can do a CGI face of Josh Brolin as Strife over on somebody else's body.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So, but that's just one of my ideas. I toss it out there. Ladies and gentlemen, your thoughts?
Well, it's not a bad idea. No, not at all.
Oh yeah, and I was going to bring this up. It's they can do a lot with actors and actresses and green screens and all this stuff. Like, say whoever they would say pick to play Wolverine. People complain that Hugh Jackman's too large and stuff. I'm like, do you not remember what they did with Steve Rogers in the first Captain America movie? They can obviously shrink him.
Yeah,
but the wonderful thing about Hugh Jackman in his role as Logan, or as Wolverine, the community, the X-Men community, the Marvel community was very forgiving of it, and they were like, "Hey, he's done a good job portraying the character. We don't care if he's taller than he should be."
Yeah,
I was one of those people.
Oh, they still should have had Danny DeVito.
If you were going to have Danny DeVito in X-Men, you should have him as Puck from Alpha Flight. Yeah, he would be good for that. Although he's a little old for that now.
I think if whatever next X-Men movie should come out, like the sort of the first class movies, I think Wolverine, to be honest, doesn't need to be in an X-Men movie, because I found, as much as I enjoyed the X-Men movies, he really sort of stole the show. Yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that.
So it's best to sort of give Wolverine his own movies and then just keep the X-Men as the team they are, because really they're just Wolverine's backup.
Oh yeah, if they did a stories about Logan that was true to comic, then we could see some things like Wolverine versus the Hulk. Or things like that.
They've actually done some animated movies and everything where it was the Hulk versus Thor and the Hulk versus Wolverine, and they were animated, but they were very good. So I don't know if anybody remember those or not, but
I remember them. They were good.
Oh yeah, and one thing they do not need to do. We don't need Dark Phoenix. They screwed it up twice. We don't need any more.
The only thing what were you going to say, DJ?
I said that's very true. They've screwed it up enough. They don't need to do it ever again.
Okay. I will make this caveat. If they're going to do it, it needs to be build up. The Phoenix saga, both light and dark, is a slow burn. It needs to be built up. It needs to be done justice. It almost would need to be done. Hey, HBO Max, here's an idea. Or HBO Max, Disney Plus, here's an idea. Do a Phoenix Saga miniseries. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we did get. I think we got one of the most accurate adaptations of the Phoenix Saga, both light and dark, in the X-Men '90s cartoon.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
But if they wanted to do a live action adaptation, I would not be opposed to it. But stick to the story.
I wouldn't argue that.
It needs to be built up. This is not a 2-hour story. This is a mini series. This is like 6 to 10 hours, if not more. This is like, okay, some of you may get this analogy, some of you may not. This is like North and South. This is something that takes a long time to build up to. With the Phoenix and the Dark Phoenix. So it's almost going to need it's also going to need a multi-part miniseries or a very long miniseries to do it right.
I agree with that in that I think it wouldn't have been so bad if we got to see more about the whole how did Sheen get it, that she used it for good, that she saved the universe and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to see her struggling with it. I think it would have really taken like 6 movies. Possibly.
Well, not to mention, you had the Hellfire Club introduced in First Class. The Hellfire Club plays a huge part in the Dark Phoenix part of the storyline. So they they could bring a different, because the Hellfire Club hasn't always been the same group of mutants. It's been, or people and everything. It's been various different mutants or whatever throughout its history. So.
I think the problem you got though is when it comes to a live action movie, is you don't want to go. I mean, I know movies are meant to be sort of beyond the real world, but I think when it comes, whether it's X-Men or anything else, I think they want to try and keep it grounded as much as they can without it looking ridiculous within a live action movie. Where in a cartoon or in a comic, you can, you can make it as large as life as you want because it's a comic or a cartoon. But unfortunately, I think with the live action movie, that's a very difficult thing to do, and it's probably why that's probably the reason why they screwed it up, because they had to sort of keep it grounded and keep it grounded.
But the problem is a storyline like the Phoenix Saga. It's not grounded in reality. You're dealing with outer space. You're dealing with aliens. You're dealing with cosmic beings, in particular with the Phoenix Force itself. So it needs to be big. It needs to be grandiose. It needs to have a real big sense of scale. So trying to shrink it down almost diminishes and cuts out some of the best parts of the whole freaking story, because you bring in the Shi'ar Empire, you bring in so many different factions, like I said, the Hellfire Club and everything, and they pared it down too much to where it felt too small.
Well, then I think the only way they could sort of tell that story is if they lowered the budgets for each movie, did either direct to TV or DVD, and did them and then sort of released them at more frequent intervals. So they kept the actors in work for say 10, 20 years. The budget production would obviously be a lot lower. Use a whole new cast of actors because they'll be a lot cheaper, and then obviously just spin that for 10 to 20 years. I think it's the only way you could tell that story.
Well, and here's the other thing: if you went the miniseries route, you don't necessarily have to cut the budget that much, but you do work on a smaller budget, and maybe you bring in some. Maybe you have one or two big A or B list actors for some of the more major roles, and then you fill out the rest of the cast with less known actors and actresses for the rest. I mean, we've had this huge push for the Snyder Cut of the Justice League, and it's finally getting pushed through. Maybe we need to start another campaign on the Marvel side. Give us the Phoenix Saga. Hashtag do Phoenix right. Hashtag do Phoenix right.
Yeah. Or maybe do as a TV show, maybe a live action X-Men show. I mean, I remember in the 90s they tried something. I think they threw out a beta X-Men called Mutant X, which was still
Go ahead.
Which was still, I think, a Marvel property, but they didn't call it X-Men because they thought if it fails, then we don't want it, to be our, related to our main products.
Right.
But it was okay. It was all right.
Well, they have done 2 TV series. One was called Gen X, which is actually a spin-off show of the comic book line or series or anything from Marvel and everything that deals with Generation X of the mutants.
Is
and
that
everything.
one with
it.
the live action one? Oh gosh,
Mhm.
I think I
The
was
Max Thriller.
might have been 10 or 12 years old. But it had Banshee and it had Emma Frost as the primary leaders.
I think possibly yes. If you're talking about the comic book, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. And then they did do Legion, which was an X-Men universe spinoff. It deals with
Xavier's son.
Xavier's son, who was an exceedingly powerful, I mean, uber powerful telepath / telekinetic and everything else.
He was so powerful, his mind split, I think, with multiple personalities.
And each multiple personality controlled a particular aspect of his powers. Yeah.
Right.
I never got a chance to see it, but I heard it was actually pretty darn good. I hope.
I think it's still on the air.
Is it? Good.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm happy to hear that, truly.
Hey, Happy Dinosaur.
Hey, Happy. Congratulations on hitting 100 subscribers. Well done.
Hey, well done. Congrats.
Well done, chomp chomp.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Well, DJ, you've been a little quiet. Anything? What are your ideas? What would you like to see?
I'm going to go a different route. And, if they're going to start these movies, I'm tired of watching origin stories over and over and over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would like them to start off with something like Night of the Sentinels.
Ooh, yes.
I'm trying to remember that one. It's been so long.
Are you talking about the one and everything? It was like the pilot episode of the X-Men 90s cartoon?
Yep.
Oh, I love that one. Poor Morph, though.
Just jump right into it. Have your main cast already together, and you got Jubilee being introduced right there at the beginning, and deal with the whole Mutant Registration Act aspect of it all.
That would be actually really good.
That could have potential.
Oh, yeah. One thing I would ask for that kind of one, they better introduce Morph, because he was like my favorite character as a kid. Even though he wasn't on there.
And then he died.
Well, he didn't die. I don't think he ever died. He got taken prisoner by Mr. Sinister. Went crazy for a little bit.
Well, he was brainwashed, and then he then turned good again. Tried to say, he sacrificed his life to save the X-Men, I think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look. That's gonna.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, DJ, of everybody in here, you've probably been an X-Men fan or a Marvel fan longer than most of us. Is there like anything from the old series of stories that they did and everything that you'd be interested to see adapted as a movie?
Not really. I don't want them to just rehash the same movies over and over. I want something fresh. I want something new. Even if they just have to start it off with maybe introducing them so they can cross them into the rest of the Marvel universe.
Yeah. Well, kind of like what hopefully I'm hoping that's what they do with New Mutants, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like, let them meet up with the Hulk or let them meet up with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Or
a gradual introduction. Like
they've already,
they've
sort of going with Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
But let's expand from that and let's start bringing in some of maybe the Avengers or something, one Avenger or something, just to start bringing them into the whole fold so you can cross everybody over.
Oh, yeah. One thing I do want to bring up, since you did bring the Avengers, how long have the X-Men been around? Why didn't they do anything as far as the major events that happened? Those are the kind of questions and answers I would love to have.
Well, they could easily explain that Ant-Man going into the quantum universe changed things more than what everybody suspected, and that's how.
Or Steve did it because
Steve did it, and that's how the
he went to
mutants
the
come
past. So it kind of altered things because maybe Xavier made everybody forget about mutants.
Yeah.
Here's a possibility too, and they could go one of two ways with this. and this is something I've had a theory about for a while. If that we obviously have Magic or Illyana Rasputin and New Mutants,
Right.
She's a dimension jumper, or what I call a dimension jumper, and that could very well be your in for bringing the mutants into the Prime MCU universe. Or here's another possibility: they could use WandaVision, because she deals with alternate realities, alternate dimensions, and all that other stuff. And they could use WandaVision as a vehicle to start introducing mutants in a little bit at a time there. Or as I forget, I can't remember if it was DJ or Quantum that said, or Continuum that said this. Something that's already been established with Ant-Man going into the quantum universe.
Right.
Personally, I'd like to see them use the New Mutants to do it and everything, but I'm open to any of that, honestly. So.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I was only thinking Ant-Man because of the fact that the quantum realm could link all the different realities and dimensions. Like the Reality Stone could have done it too for some reason.
that is true.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The Reality Stone could be used as I don't want to say, a plot device, more or less, and that somebody uses it and is what brings in the rest of the universe, like Venom, because I think the whole deal to bring Spider-Man in, you have to bring Venom. So that's the Venom, Carnage, all the aliens bit and stuff, and then you could bring in the Fantastic Four. Personally, I think it would be hilarious if you brought like the 90s 2000 Fantastic Four in, because my gosh,
which night is one? Because there were two.
No.
I love the movie. So
no, the best one's to bring in the 60s version and plop them down, just like poor Steve Rogers had to try to get used to things. Let them try to get used to modern day.
Yeah.
That would actually be a good movie to watch, about watching the X-Men that could be pulled from what their reality was into this one, and it's not the same that they're used to.
Yeah. Be almost like a fish out of water story.
Oh yeah, and I think that would be interesting to see. We didn't really get that kind of story with Steve because he was struggling with everything. We didn't really get into the meat of him messing up sayings or anything like that. I would have loved that. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Reality Stone could be, that's a good way of doing it as well. And everything, if somebody gets a hold of it. There is actually a storyline in modern X-Men comics and everything, and basically Scarlet Witch, who is actually in the comics, as most everybody knows, a mutant, not an augmented human. She actually alters reality.
Are you talking about the No More Mutants?
No more mutants. In this instance, though, she says, "Let there be mutants."
That would
just
be
kind
interesting.
of just kind of flip it on its head.
That would actually be really interesting. It's something that they probably might be exploring, especially with WandaVision.
Or even with Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange, because she's going to be in that, if y'all remember.
Oh, that is true.
So that could be another possibility of bringing mutants into the Prime Marvel, into the MCU universe. And, doing that, you bring in a multitude of exceedingly powerful villains. Maybe not cosmic level like Thanos, but still interesting villains for them to play off against, because that gives you Magneto, that gives you Mr. Sinister, which honestly I would love to see a movie centered around him as the main antagonist. Obviously, that brings in Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
You've got all sorts of interdimensional characters too. You got like Mojo. I don't know if any of you remember Mojo from the 90s.
Oh my gosh, that disgusting worm with the weird tail, and like to watch people as television, putting them in all these scenarios.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Phalanx as a villain as well.
Say one more time, continue.
The Phalanx that sort of absorbs everything.
Yeah, the Phalanx. That actually that reminds me of a crossover they did, I think, in the late 90s. There, I think the Phalanx Covenant, where the Phalanx actually start to take over Earth.
Yeah, they did. They just started absorbing all the mutants and technology. And they were kind of like the Borg of the X-Men universe. They just came in and absorbed everything.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but I think actually Mojo makes like one, maybe two appearances in the 90s cartoons. So
he does.
Yeah.
So
there was like a 2-parter with it, and then reappeared for a second time.
Yeah, I think so.
I loved it.
The only thing I ask of Marvel is when they introduce this, 2 things. Give a good explanation why they're here now.
I agree.
And,
we need a good explanation, not a.
And during that explanation, why is it kind of like, did they just show up after the whole Thanos Avenger thing, or were they here and just avoiding people at that point and trying to stay out of the way?
That's a possibility too. Now here's another idea for how they can bring them in, and it could even be good for a standalone movie or one movie that introduces them. When Hulk, Bruce Banner uses the Power Gauntlet, not the Infinity Gauntlet, it's completely different thing. It's called the Power Gauntlet, or the Infinity Gauntlet Mark II, if you prefer. When he says, bring everybody back, somehow or another that goes a little haywire. And
because he lost control, so yeah, that would make sense.
Mutants get brought into the MCU. We just have not come across them yet. They've kind of stayed off the radar for whatever reason it may be. I mean, have it be Xavier kind of cloaking them from the rest of the population. I mean, let's be candid here. He is quite literally the most powerful telepath on the entire planet, and everything second only to Jean Grey. Between their mind power and everything, they could definitely do it. And if in this particular instance, Emma Frost is working with the X-Men rather than as a villain,
right?
You've got 3 of the most powerful mutants, 3 of the most powerful telepaths working to that end, cloaking the mutant population from the rest of the world. I mean, they could take turns being plugged into Cerebro, and just kind of keeping mutants off the radar and everything, but they got blipped in and everything when Banner used the Power Gauntlet. But have some sort of movie that tells about what they're doing before that happens, because that would be very interesting in and of itself. But now the question is, who are we going to get in Hollywood right now that's competent enough to do a story that deep? That's the real question. I mean, we've tossed out a bunch of really good ideas for projects. Who do we want to see head up these projects? Who do we trust in Hollywood right now? Or just who do we trust?
That's a hard question right there. Who do we trust?
It's a question that needs to be addressed. I mean, we've tossed out all sorts of ideas. Who are we going to say, okay, we're tapping you to do this. Go do it.
Well, David Hayter, who portrays one of my favorite gaming characters, but he sort of co-wrote and I think also co-directed the first X-Men movie. So he's still around. He's still doing stuff. So I wouldn't mind giving him the I wouldn't mind giving him the sort of the reins on that project.
Okay. One thing people have complained about Rogue, how they portrayed Rogue in the first one.
I can understand that. You talking about the first series of movies?
Yes.
That Singer did. honestly, that was kind of bothersome for me because you're missing out on a huge chunk of it. Although that's a big chunk that you have to try and introduce. Although we now have Captain Marvel.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Please, let's not turn this into a Captain Marvel bashing session, for heaven's sake. I've heard enough of that.
No, we're not
I've
here
not
for
even watched
that.
it yet.
Okay. But the biggest part of where Rogue got her powers is the fact that Mystique, if you remember the 90s cartoon, I think this is
Oh,
fairly
yeah, I
accurate.
remember. She absorbed them from Captain Marvel, didn't she?
From Carol Danvers, from Captain Marvel.
Can we do
Or
that?
That's not bashing. That's just saying, can we do that?
Yes, we can do that. I mean, well, you have to remember, it doesn't kill Marvel. It just
Puts her in a coma.
Well, I think in the comics it doesn't put her in a coma, but I know in the cartoon it does, because Rogue goes to visit Carol Danvers in the hospital. But I think by the end of the episode, Danvers is starting to finally come out of her coma or whatever.
Yeah, that she's been in for a couple of years.
Yeah, so I mean, and V-Star brings up, I love the character of Rogue too. I'm not saying that I disliked what they did with her in
what
the movie.
I didn't like is that it totally robs Rogue of all the development she did.
Yeah.
And her relationship with Gambit, her past relationship with a bunch of characters.
Yeah. And honestly, I wish, here's another possible project, and again, who do we get to do it? Do a solo Gambit. DC,
oh yeah, the Rogues
Disney
and
Plus.
the Assassins.
Yeah, Disney Plus, if you're listening, give us a Gambit mini series or give us a Gambit series. I'll watch it. Just do it well.
Oh, yeah.
They would bring it. Well, there was a plan for that movie or TV series to bring in Channing Tatum as Gambit.
It wasn't Channing Tatum. It was the guy that played Gambit in X-Men Origins Wolverine. That was going to be the guy that was going to play Gambit. But unfortunately, because Origins did so badly or was so badly disliked, they killed it before it even got started.
Oh, man, I think he would have done a really well job if he had just worked on his accent.
He was one of my favorite parts of Origins. He really was.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was one of my favorite parts of Origins. I wish that we had gotten more of him.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
We got a cameo. We got a Gambit cameo. I'm like, ooh. And not to mention, of course, this is something that's already been brought up. They completely butchered Deadpool in that movie.
They did. And now it's used as a running joke by Ryan Reynolds.
Yes. And I love that running joke. I need to watch Deadpool 2. That's all there is to it. I watched the first one. I loved it.
Because even Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool movie has a Origins Deadpool toy. I'm like,
you're talking about the second one where he goes back in time?
No. That's Green Lantern. That's not the Deadpool movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. He shoots himself in the head. I think I'll do this. Boom. And I'll say this. It's a bad movie that I love. I liked Green Lantern. I actually enjoyed it, but what do I know?
Oh, I did do a video over that he may very well be reprising the role of Green Lantern for the Snyder Cut.
Oh, please.
Oh.
I don't care if it's a cameo. Please, yes.
Yeah, they said that he's open to it. He's all for it. So it's like,
good.
It's like, hey, Marvel, if you don't want Deadpool, I'm pretty sure people want Green Lantern.
Well, there is an animated movie which I think is along the similar lines to what's supposed to be the Snyder Cut. It was called Justice League War, and it had Batman,
I have it.
Superman, Wonder Woman, and it was an epic movie. It was
really
good.
I have it on DVD. I love it. I love them. Yeah. It's got the full lineup plus Cyborg and plus Shazam.
Oh yeah.
And it was epic. The guy that got to do the voice of Darkseid was actually the one lieutenant off of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The I hate to put it this way, but the black guy.
Oh, Terry Crews.
Yeah, no, not Terry Crews. The other guy.
The captain.
Yeah, the captain.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's making all the Lieutenant Wunsch jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did the voice of Darkseid for Justice League War.
Ooh,
Okay.
nice.
I didn't know that was him. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't know myself. I was doing a stream with a friend of mine on here and on YouTube and everything. They brought it up. I was like, "Dang, I didn't know he had that much range." I mean, I'm not surprised, but I didn't.
Well, I know this guy played Superman with Jerry O'Connell, and he's now going to be in the new Star Trek animated show Lower Decks as Captain Ransom or Commander Ransom, whatever. But yeah, no, it was, I knew some of the acts, but I didn't know that guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine did Darkseid. That's interesting. I'm going to have to watch it again after this. See if I can recognize his voice.
That's pretty awesome, though. And we got sidetracked.
Yeah, we did. We were talking about X-Men.
You know, wherever I'm on a panel, there's always a train wreck.
This is not a train wreck. This is a slight segue. We're going to get back on course now.
Definitely.
Let's get back on X-Men.
But yeah, like we were talking about, who would be the best people we could trust for a project like that?
I might have an unpopular opinion.
Okay, bring it.
Go on.
I liked the movie Logan, so let's have James Mangold do it.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be very okay with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I would be so okay with that. I would, to quote Dieter from Sprockets, I would be as happy as a little girl. If you get that reference, you get a cookie and a gold star. If you can name what show that's from, you get a cookie and a gold star.
I don't get a gold star. And I'm probably going to slap myself after you.
No, I don't either. But it was funny.
I'll go get my own cookie.
It's actually from Saturday Night Live from the 90s. It was one of Mike Myers' characters. It was actually a show that it was
Okay,
called,
now I want to kick myself because I think I remember that now.
Would you like to pet? Yeah, the character's name was Dieter, and he was. It was a talk show, I think, in East or West Berlin, and the guy dressed like a proto emo, if there's such a thing. He had the black hair, he had the black rimmed glasses that were completely circular. He wore a black turtleneck, black pants. And Myers' character, he had this really thick German accent. And it was absolutely hysterical. I'll send y'all a clip later on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
But yeah, James Mangold, I'd be okay with. Here's another one, even I know he's busy. James Gunn. I would trust him with X-Men.
He's a little busy, though.
He is. He's a little busy right now, but I trust him with the X-Men project. Absolutely.
What about Michael Bay?
No.
We don't need robots everywhere.
No.
He does good action films.
No. Michael Bay is the Hollywood equivalent of herpes.
I thought that was J.J. Abrams.
No, J.J. Abrams. No, J.J. Abrams isn't an STD. He's like a mild rash.
No,
He's like a mild rash you use Benadryl to get rid of. Michael Bay and Ryan Johnson are like, you need penicillin to get rid of them. They are like, Michael Bay is herpes and Ryan Johnson is gonorrhea. You need penicillin to get rid of those.
Okay.
You keep throwing that name out, you might as well throw in Kathleen Kennedy.
Okay.
No, I'm not bashing Kennedy. I've had enough of bashing Kennedy.
I don't want to hear those filthy words come out of your mouth.
Yes.
Alex
But
Kurtzman.
you know what? The whole thing with J.J. Abrams, you know what's funny? He wrote and directed Regarding Henry. Do y'all remember that movie?
Vaguely.
Okay, Harrison Ford, he was a evil kind of lawyer, got shot in the head, and he changed.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this. I would trust Abrams with the right supervision and with a lot of it with an X-Men movie. Because if you think about it, he did do 8mm.
That was a good film, actually.
That was great. Yeah.
I haven't watched that one. Is
that
that
the
the
one
one
with
about
Nicolas
the kids are filming aliens?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've been wanting to see that
They're
one.
doing like a super low budget sci-fi film, and they actually witness a military train wreck, and it actually is transporting an alien, and it's actually it's really good. So I would trust Abrams.
Okay.
With the right
So he does have some good movies. Some, not all.
Has some, I know people crap on 09 Trek and Into Darkness, and I even have my opinion about Into Darkness, but I think 09 Trek was good. I have not had a chance to see Beyond, Star Trek Beyond.
Okay, Star Trek Beyond was not his. Had nothing to do with that one. He only had to do with the first one and the second one. The third one was written by the actor who plays Scotty.
Simon Pegg. No,
yes,
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, he did it.
Okay, now there's an idea for somebody who's a good writer. Simon Pegg. I would say, hey, Simon, go write us a good X-Men movie, and I think he could do it.
That's why he got the chick at the end of the movie. Because he wrote it right.
I mean, for heaven's sakes, he worked with the guy, the other guy, Nick Frost and Edgar Wright to do Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At World's End, for crying out loud, and those are good movies. So I think
the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, the Cornetto trilogy. I have got to get that on Blu-ray because I love the first two. I never got to see At World's End, but I want to because it's
brilliant film.
The first two I love to death. I love the first two absolutely to death. So I'm saying, let's give Simon Pegg a crack at X-Men.
Okay.
He can do satire. Why can't he do X-Men? He can do Star Trek.
I'm trying to think of the Peter Jackson. I know people crap on Hobbit. I know people crap on that. I know they do. It wasn't that bad of a movie series, but I think they went too far off the rails.
I think that's the wrong genre. Peter Jackson.
Yeah, Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson really isn't comic book movie type person. I mean, yeah, he's done The Frighteners, which I love The Frighteners, and he did that low budget horror movie and everything, Brain Dead, and everything. And obviously, he's done Lord of the Rings, and he did Hobbit. And I will say there are parts of The Hobbit I did enjoy, but I think they just tried to cram too much stuff in there, trying to connect it to Lord of the Rings, and it's not a prequel to Lord of the Rings.
No.
Silmarillion is a prequel to Lord of the Rings. I've got to do a stream about all that sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Dang it.
I think they could have done they probably could have done more than 3 movies that they did.
I think Hobbit should have been 2 movies max, or just 1 4-hour movie. I would have sat through a 4-hour movie of The Hobbit, but that's another topic for another time.
Actually,
I don't think Peter Jackson's the right fit for a comic book movie, and especially X-Men. The only reason I think Brian Singer. The only reason his movies worked, the first 2 anyway, before they brought the other guy in, Brett Ratner, to kill off everybody we love, was because he played it as an ensemble film, and X-Men can work as an ensemble premise because you're playing off several different characters. And the other, very well-known Bryan Singer movie that we all know and love, The Usual Suspects, is an ensemble cast. So the way he did X-Men, the way he did Days of Future Past, and the way that he did Apocalypse, I was happy, truthfully. When I heard that Singer was coming back, I know there's been some personal stuff that's come out about him, and I hate the fact that that's happened. It sucks, but that somebody that we all respect as a filmmaker has done some dirty deeds.
Right.
But, putting that aside, just simply as an actor or not as a director, I think he did a good job. I think we need to find out who worked with him on those movies and say, we're going to tap you to do some X-Men movie. Not so much the cast, but the crew. Find out who did the script with him. Find out who was producer and all that, and say, we're going to tap you. We want to see you do something with X-Men.
Right.
Because Singer usually puts a good crew around himself. Because the director.
But didn't he do the last Phoenix movie?
No, he did not.
Okay.
That was given to the guy who wrote the script for Last Stand. and we know how badly Last Stand.
Oh my God! Why would they do that? Everybody hates that movie.
Yeah,
All right, I'll throw somebody out there that's my age.
sure.
Christopher Nolan.
Okay, I'm not saying no. I am not saying no. Let me qualify my remark here. My reaction. I am not saying no. But the thing is, again, I am not saying no to Nolan. I am not by any means, because I am not a Nolan hater. I'm actually a Nolan supporter. I like his movies. I really do. I loved, obviously, Dark Knight trilogy. You had Inception. Love those movies. Love them to death. I think Christopher Nolan. But I think he's too grounded in reality to do X-Men, because it deals with a lot. If we're going to start bringing in aliens and dimension jumping and time travel and all this other stuff, I don't know if he's got the geek cred, for lack of a better term, to pull those more fantastical elements off. That
I think I know.
Okay,
but
I
know
have a
one who
name.
would.
I have a name that y'all might agree. Y'all might think this is a horrible idea. Jerry Bruckheimer.
I wouldn't mind that.
Well, to be honest, I'd say, and again, you might crucify me for this, but he's rarely failed in any of his, shall we say, directing capabilities. And when he did direct, especially in the new Trek shows, his directed episodes were the best ones, and that's Jonathan Frakes, and he does know how to sort of bring fantasy into the camera.
Yeah, but
That's what
would he really want to leave the Trek franchise to work on anything Marvel? That's
If it paid enough, and he thought he could do it, definitely, yeah.
Well, he did do the voice for Xantos on the Gargoyle cartoon.
That is true. I love that show as a kid.
I do too. It's actually on Disney Plus. If anybody has Disney Plus, it's on Disney Plus right now, I think.
No. I will not support Disney.
Not even classic Disney.
And that's your prerogative. That's your prerogative. That's your position.
They've made me mad.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
But I mean, like that episode in The Next Generation called Schisms, where the crew were getting kidnapped, well, essentially getting abducted by aliens in the middle of the night. Yeah, I can't remember if he either wrote the episode or he directed the episode, but he definitely had some creative involvement with that episode, and that was his idea. Yeah.
Well, didn't Frakes actually direct a few episodes of TNG?
He did.
Error there?
As
And
well as
I don't remember.
Voyager.
Oh, did he?
He did some of Enterprise too.
Oh, really?
So he could
Okay.
definitely. He could definitely. I think he could definitely do an X-Men movie.
Now, wait a minute. Oh, I hate to throw this under the bus. I hate to throw him out, but didn't he direct Insurrection?
No.
Okay.
Was it Insurrection or Nemesis? Yeah, he did direct Insurrection. But the problem
I liked Insurrection. You leave it alone.
But the problem with Insurrection was not the direction. The problem with Insurrection was the writing, the story, and the plot holes. That was the problem.
Yeah, you can't always blame the directors for when it's the writing.
Yeah.
I'll throw this in there about Jonathan Frakes. He was also on the Guardians of the Galaxy TV series.
The what?
Guardians of the Galaxy TV series.
Okay. They did a TV
I'm
series.
looking up all his stuff right now because, let's see, he's been on let's see. He directed Orville episodes, Picard, Discovery, Librarians, Gifted, Arrangement, NCIS Los Angeles, Hit the Floor, Finding Carter, Falling Skies, Switched at Birth, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hindsight,
Really?
King Maxwell, Burn Notice, The Glades, Castle, Leverage, Make It or Break It, Truth or Be Told, The Good Guys, V, Dollhouse, The Librarian 3, The Curse of Judas Chalice. And this is all stuff he's directed.
Wow.
There's still a ton of stuff on here.
Well, you hit upon an important one, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
So he's
Well,
got
that, and he did the voice of Jason on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. So
I didn't know that either.
It was 2016 to 2019. There was Guardians of the Galaxy TV series.
okay, when you said "did," I didn't understand what you meant by director. If he had a part, so
Okay,
no,
yeah.
he was the
Jason
voice.
and Jay
Okay.
Jonah.
okay.
So yeah, it's on there. I was looking at Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, I'm looking up all this stuff. He's done a ton of stuff. I think if it's an acting job or a directing job or a producing job, he'll do it.
Yeah, him I would.
And the one episode that he did for Enterprise was the horrible one.
The what one?
The last one.
The last one. The horrible
The very
one.
last episode. Yeah.
Okay.
But it was all just a holodeck program.
Yeah, so it didn't really happen.
There
No.
was, I mean, when I was watching, I remember when I was watching that series, I think it was in the final 2 seasons, season 3, season 4, they kept mentioning Chef, but nobody ever met Chef. And I thought, is Chef actually going to make an appearance? And then obviously it turns out Riker was the chef. Fuck. No.
Okay.
So
Oh my
I
gosh.
could
So
give,
that was a good choice. He does know his way around stories and directing and acting.
Okay, I'm going to toss a possibility out here. What if we got some of the people that worked on Eccleston, Tennant, and Smith's, and maybe even Capaldi's runs as the Doctor?
Oh, Russell T. Davis as a writer. Definitely.
Yeah.
I go with Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Russell. I wouldn't trust Moffat.
And you wouldn't
Okay.
trust Moffat?
I don't have a major problem with Moffat. He had a very specific way of telling a story. He told
Yes.
stories like it was a movie. He didn't really tell stories like it was episode to episode. He did have a major arc for each season, which works for a movie format. His way of telling something is very different than Davies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, I don't know who all the directors were that worked on the different episodes during those 3 incarnations of the Doctor. Well, four incarnations, rather. Because I don't want anybody that's near Whitaker who.
I refuse.
I totally
I want
agree
no.
with you on that one.
I want no one that's working on Whitaker who to be anywhere near X-Men. They've already screwed up the Doctor, which I have loved since Tom Baker. I'm not letting them screw up X-Men. I'll be cold in the ground before that happens. I will take it. I will take them with me to my grave. I'll drag. To quote a great Sam Raimi movie, I will drag them to hell.
I forced myself to watch that abomination of a Doctor twice for debates and never again.
Oh, Whitaker.
Yep.
And I don't even blame her. I blame
No,
everybody
I
else
don't blame
around
her. She's a good actress. It's the writing. She's doing what she's got.
She's a good actress, but she agrees with a lot of the stuff that he's writing.
Okay, I have a question to pose to you. Do you think actors and actresses say whatever the company wants them to say so they can keep their jobs?
I don't know, because she was saying some of that stuff before she even took the part.
Okay.
I think what happens in a lot of stuff, especially with TV shows or movies, is a lot of the especially when it comes to executives, try to get involved. I don't know if it was maybe because they might earn a little extra payment for creative input or whatever, but they always try to throw stuff in there as well, and I guess they sort of said, well, if we want to keep our jobs, obviously these guys, the executives, are the hirers and firers. Just to keep them sweet, we'll throw a little bit of what they want in there, but try very hard not to sort of let it interfere with the story. But sometimes it does.
Right. I can agree with that. It's like, I I don't think it's always black and white like a lot of people like to make it out to be. I don't always think, like, there's a lot of actors and actresses that won't say squat about like politics or anything like that, which I think is great. Because I don't want to know people's politics. Otherwise, I'll stop watching them.
Entertain us. We don't care
Yes,
about your
that's
politics. We don't care about your social position. Just entertain us.
And the
there's
other
a-
problem I have with her is she's not actually portraying a doctor. She's cosplaying as two doctors.
Yeah, Tom Baker.
Or
and
multiple,
somebody else.
or more than that. She
Well,
tried on one episode. She can be like Tennant. Other one, she's trying to do Smith and all this other stuff. And it's like all the doctors of the past, to my understanding, they brought something new, but it gone a little bit here, a little bit there that they wanted. That's been shown in the past. It's like, but I agree with you. It's like she doesn't know what she wants to, or the writers don't know, or the writers are like, they don't know what to do.
She actually openly admitted when she took the part that she had no idea what Doctor Who was, and the most she had was watching a few episodes of Tennant and Smith's episodes.
What?
That's all she ever knew. She openly admitted that.
Then why in the hell did she take the part?
Because of the paycheck.
Because she wanted to work with Chibnall.
Shoot me in the freaking head. You got somebody who's playing the doctor who hasn't been exposed to a single drop of doctor except for a couple of...
I think it's, I'm actually quite surprised though the way she is.
Shoot me in the freaking head.
Chibnall and Whitaker have both openly admitted that if one leaves the show, the other one's leaving. They're
Okay, bye. Bye. Leave, both of you. Give it to somebody competent.
See,
There's
I'm
competent
actually
people.
quite,
Go ahead.
I'm actually quite surprised the way she is though in Doctor Who, because I've seen her in some other things. One of them was a Black Mirror episode, where you can where everything you see is recorded, and she plays the wife of this guy, and they have a child together. Turns out, this child isn't the child of her husband, but this guy that she was cheating on, and she was absolutely brilliant in that. She was a bit when you definitely felt like the sexual tension or this sexual, shall we say, this love triangle between these three people, and she when she was telling a lie to her husband, you yourself believed the lie that she was telling, and it was a good episode. And she, and a few other things I've seen her in, and I'm quite surprised that she plays this sort of goofy version of the Doctor.
And one major issue I have with her is I don't know if she doesn't know how to play this character who is both a very selfish old Time Lord, but also cares about every living person. And if one of the companions is having a hard time, the Doctor has tried to help in some way, and she doesn't have that. Doesn't have that empathy or compassion.
No. I mean, the thing is this, with this new Doctor Who, I enjoyed the first when her first season came, I enjoyed the first 3 episodes. And then it just sort of trailed off, The first 3 episodes were pretty good, and then the show trailed off, but she trailed off as the Doctor as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and to kind of circle us back around to what we were talking about, X-Men is a property that has spanned, 40 some odd years? I mean, it started in the 1960s.
Longer, 50 now.
Yeah.
Okay, 50 years. This is something you do not want to screw with. This is something you do not want to make woke, because if you do, you are going to alienate a massive chunk of not just the Marvel Universe, MCU fans, but you're going to alienate a massive chunk, and I mean a huge chunk of X-Men fans, because X-Men fans are almost a subsect unto their self or anything in terms of the broader Marvel fan base.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you've got your people that love just about every part of Marvel, to one degree or another. But you've got your ones that love Spider-Man. You've got your ones that love Iron Man. You've got your ones that love the Avengers. You've got your ones that love, obviously, the X-Men. But X-Men is almost a whole fan base. You could probably do a whole freaking Comic-Con around just X-Men itself, and you'd have probably thousands or maybe hundreds of thousands of fans descend upon that sucker. I'd be there. So if they screw around with X-Men and start to make it political or social, people are going to get royally pissed.
Okay, here's something I have to say towards that. X-Men has always been about, I guess you could say racism, because it came out during the 60s.
Yes, I would agree.
And so it deals with that people can't handle something different. It always gave people that felt like the outsider. And if they try to go a completely different degree about making it all about, woke SJW about women and stuff like that, I agree that it'll tick off a lot of people.
Yeah, again, I mean, the characters being mutants was always a metaphor. I mean, later on, during the 60s, obviously the 60s version, it was about racism, and then later on it became about sexuality. It was that the mutants were, should we say, the LTGB or gay community, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And now, but the thing is, it was, if you use metaphors for something, that's fine. You tell it while you're telling a story, that's great. But if you've already got the metaphor there that represents something, and you're also sort of throwing the shit against the wall and hoping it's going to stick, all you've done is covered a wall in shit.
Very much.
And and that's why people think it stinks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, just tell us a good story. You can put whatever metaphors you want, as long as it's not the literal about what you're throwing in our faces. Honestly, as far as cast goes, I think, crud, I can't even think of his name. The actor that played Xavier, not Patrick Stewart.
James McAvoy.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job, and they could always pull him. And if they had to make him look older, they could do that.
If they can recreate Peter Cushing on screen, they can make him look older.
Oh yeah, and not have to do CGI.
The only question becomes, would he want to return, considering what they did with him in Dark Phoenix?
Ooh.
That's the big question, because I don't know how many of the actors and actresses were overly thrilled with what they did in Dark Phoenix.
Well, that's because Disney was messing with the whole movie.
Yeah, I heard about that too. I mean, for heaven's sakes, that was our train wreck, and I'm not talking about the train wreck that happened in the movie.
Right.
The question becomes, who are you gonna tap for the main cast? I mean, are you going to go with the classic?
The main cast, as far as characters, it's like you have to decide specific for a specific story, whether it's a new story or taken from the comics. If it's taken from the comics, then you're going to have a lot of people side-eyeing you about whether you're going to respect these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if they do if they had one crossovers or something, that's going to be a freaking huge cast, because most of the crossovers deal with 2 or 3 of the different X-Men teams, and each one of those teams has 5 to 6 members per team. Because, just for example, I'm just tossing it out here as an illustration. With Executioner's Song, you have X-Men Blue and Gold, both of those teams. You have X-Force, which is Cable's group. You have X-Factor. You have Excalibur, which is the British band of X-Men.
Wait, one second. I thought Excalibur was the British Avengers.
No. Well, it might be, but it's still included in the X-Men family.
Okay.
Especially back then in the 90s, it was included in the X-Men family. Excalibur was.
Okay.
So, of course, you also have You have Strife and his little band, everything. The Mutant Liberation Front. You've got Magneto and his bunch, the Acolytes. So you're going to have a pretty big cast, or you're going to have to pare it down pretty much. But if you pare it down too much, then the fan base. Now, I wouldn't be too upset, but you're going to have to either get some really good actors across the board to portray all these parts and make this thing huge, or you're going to have to pare it down and try and focus on specific characters. But Your Sure Song is such a big story. It's really hard to do. I'm not saying it's impossible, but just to throw that out there, if you're doing any type of crossover storyline, you're going to have a huge cast.
Yeah, one movie I was going to suggest earlier, forgot about it. And it could be not connected to even Disney's Marvel Universe. It could be just something they did a series of movies of. Age of Apocalypse.
Oh, man. You had to go there.
I had to go there.
You had to go with my... Oh, Phalon, you're killing me. Yeah, Age of Apocalypse.
I'm like, there's just so much you could do, and you could bring the old cast for it too.
That's not a movie. That's a miniseries. That's a long miniseries.
At me.
That's no movie. You can't.
That's why I said a series of movies.
Yeah.
I'm like,
no, you can't even. It would be too just. You'd almost have to do a production like Lord of the Rings to do it right. And I don't think there's a crew currently in Hollywood that could pull it off.
I think the X-Men animated series, I think in the early 2000s, they covered that story arc, I think, over 2-3 seasons.
No, they didn't.
I think it was either X-Men and was it Wolverine and the X-Men, or it was just
as far as I know, Continuum, I don't think anyone has done an adaptation of Age of Apocalypse. There have been storylines that have involved Apocalypse, but they have never done the Age of Apocalypse. It's never, as far as I can recall, it has never ever been done animated. It would be a huge production to do it live action. Now that's not to say it can't be done.
right.
That's going to be one honking big story because, again, you're dealing with multiple teams. You're dealing with Apocalypse himself. You're dealing with an alternate timeline and everything else. That's going to be – it's daunting, but it's not impossible. But dang, that'd be a – you know what? You just Phalon, you just dropped the big one.
Oh, there's so many big storylines from the comics that could be done and probably just as daunting as that. Because that's when you bring where Nate Gray gets introduced and would be part of the whole big Marvel thing, because that's where his storyline starts.
Yep. Well, okay. Phalon, hold my beer. Here's a bigger one. Fatal Attractions.
Okay, I'm trying to remember that one. Like, I
that's
haven't read
the one. That's the one where they finally go after Magneto and his bunch up on Asteroid M. That's the one where Colossus defects, and that's the one where Magneto rips the adamantium out of Wolverine's body.
Oh, that would be gory.
Yeah, it's not as big a story, but it's just as intense as Age of Apocalypse. Age of Apocalypse is an epic. I'm going to say it's a comic book version of an epic. It's that freaking big. Because if you've seen the omnibuses and if you've seen the trade paperbacks of them, they're thick. And they're not cheap. But one of these days, I'm getting it.
But yeah, so Fatal Attractions, Asteroid M got taken out of orbit. I think Cyclops was with some of the acolytes when they crashed.
And then Magneto rebuilds it.
Oh, Lord. Didn't they do a little bit of that in the storyline when Magneto invites the X-Men to be there? That way they're safe
Yeah, in the
against
90s cartoon.
Human. Yeah, and he
Yeah.
nearly dies from it.
Yeah, in the 90s cartoon, yeah, because Fabian Cortez is actually trying to kill Magneto.
Mm-hmm. Because
So-
Magneto's keeping it in orbit.
Mhm. So, yeah, fatal attractions. That's a fun one.
Oh my gosh, that would be like rated R.
Well, just specifically for the part where Wolverine gets his adamantium ripped out of his body. Now, there's a panel that I remember, and I actually have the trade paperback and everything. I got it a couple months ago. There's a panel that's almost iconic, and Magneto and Xavier are having a head-to-head
Oh my gosh.
confrontation, and they're grappling with one another, and they slowly are levitated into orbit. And I think it's a combination of both Magneto and Xavier's powers. And one of the boxes says it's like a genetic Cain and Abel grappling with one another. That right there is a powerful moment. Not to mention the part where Xavier actually lobotomizes temporarily Magneto. I mean, he's out of it for several months, if not a year or more. And that's actually where you get the springboard for Onslaught.
Oh, I remember Onslaught.
Mm-hmm. If you remember, Onslaught was an amalgamation of
Xavier and Magneto.
Magneto, because what happened was when Xavier wiped Magneto's mind, it was depicted as like this little demonic portion of Magneto's personality leapt from Magneto into Xavier and started to slowly kind of corrupt Xavier's mind, and it created Onslaught. Now that right there, that's almost bigger than Thanos, because Onslaught.
Yeah, I think it was listed on top 10 most detailed storylines because they had like Secret Wars. Oh, I know this is unrelated to X-Men, or it might be a little bit. Do you remember about how you didn't know which superhero was actually that person, or it was one of that race that can shapeshift? Oh, crud, what was it called?
The Phalanx?
I don't know if it was Is that the name of the race that with the Captain Marvel movie?
No, that's the Skrull.
Skrull. Yeah, because apparently they're supposed to be the bad guys. They're not supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know which series it was, but it included everyone.
Skrulls is across all of Marvel. They interact more with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers more than they do X-Men.
Mhm.
The X-Men deals more with the Shi'ar and a little bit of the Kree, just
Mhm.
a little bit.
A little bit.
But if you remember, Captain Marvel was actually a member of the Kree race. So it's brought up in the movie and everything with Larson. So
Yeah, they put that guy's blood in her to make her believe she was Kree.
yeah, I think it was Jean Rogg that was played by Jude Law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again,
I just think it would be interesting. An interesting way to bring the X-Men into it is a Skrull war that Captain Marvel and everyone was tricked because the Skrulls are supposed to be as bad as the Kree.
the Kree aren't actually that malevolent, aren't that vicious, really. They've tried to infiltrate Earth, but they've never really done an all-out full assault on Earth. And neither have the Shi'ar. The only race that's really come after Earth is the Skrulls. They're the only ones that have really tried to
Take it over.
Yeah, take it over, and succeeded on a couple of occasions. Now, not to go terribly off topic here, the argument that they could make for the particular faction of Skrulls that are in Captain Marvel, they're a different faction of the race that doesn't believe in conquest, and you can actually have that bunch work with the heroes and everything if the main Skrull Empire comes to try and take over Earth. So, but that's just a theory. It's an idea of mine. So,
Trap just said maybe they could do an X-Men versus the Inhumans.
The problem is, if I tried to do Inhumans and it flopped, and I was sad. I was very, very sad because I love the Inhumans. They were one of my favorite races. Or groups or anything within Marvel. I was really looking forward to seeing them on TV or on the big screen, and then they screwed it up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Marvel, I was ready to give you my money, and then you screwed it up.
Well, they had sort of Inhumans in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., didn't they? Some of their members were Inhumans. Yeah, and that wasn't too bad.
I think one major thing is with the Inhumans, they should have introduced them better in like other parts of the Marvel franchise. I think that's what they should have done with a lot of these different comic heroes and villains. They should do what they did during the first couple of phases where they appear in all these different movies. Like you introduced Clint in Thor, Black Widow in, I believe, the second Iron Man movie is her first introduction, and just have them slowly introduced. And then, boom, Inhumans movie.
Yeah,
I think that's where they messed up.
No, I kind of like the idea, though. You could go back to, if you're going to start out with something with the X-Men, introduce one or two of the other characters from the universe. Throw in a Spider-Man or throw in even a minor character that would help with the crossover. Like
Peter could be going to see a discussion about the X gene, and it could be either Jean Grey is giving a whole lecture on it, or it could be Xavier who's giving a lecture on it because he was supposed to be had a doctorate in genetics.
Still does. He's a PhD.
Okay, so that would be one way to introduce him in Spider-Man, or could have a brief conversation with, say, Bruce Banner and Hank. If they still kept with the Genius Hulk thing. So that's a good point. Just one it could just be a short scene.
You don't want a movie where they're clashing so many all at once.
Yeah, that's why I think that would be a good idea for them to go the route that they had originally done before, because it was a great way to introduce these characters. Like Wolverine. There could be a flashback where Cap is talking with Logan in World War II. Because they worked together.
Yes, they did. They actually did an episode and everything in the 90s cartoon that so focused around that. So that could work.
Yeah, it's like
infiltrating Red Skull's castle or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're going to introduce a Wolverine anytime soon, though. They're going to try to let the whole thing cool off.
I agree.
I don't think we'll see Wolverine for at least 5-6 years.
Yeah, I agree, and I think honestly that's good because you want to give the rest of the characters a chance to thrive and flourish. Yeah. And to the Trap and everything productions, Trap, good evening. Hope your back is feeling better, gets to feeling better. I think honestly, I might catch some flack for this, but I liked Sophie Turner as Jean Grey in X-Men Apocalypse. I wouldn't mind seeing her come back and play an older Jean because, well, the actress is older, a little bit older now. Oh yeah. So I could see her. I could see if they give her a good enough story, Ace. What's the name of the actress? Sasha. Crap.
Okay, what character are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of Jean Grey. It was the same actress, Sophie Turner. Who played Sansa Stark in Game of Thrones, who also played Jean Grey in X-Men Apocalypse. I wouldn't mind seeing her coming back and anything as an older Jean. I liked her in Apocalypse. I didn't see her in Dark Phoenix because, well, as most everybody has said, the movie's crap. So I would rather see her get another crack at doing Jean Grey, just like everybody's wanting to see Henry Cavill get another shot at doing Superman.
Yeah.
So I say give her another shot because I liked her in Apocalypse. I thought she did a good job, but that's me. So
There's only one way I want Wolverine to come back.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, Hulk goes back to being the rampaging monster.
The Hulk versus Wolverine.
No.
And Wolverine comes out to try to stop him.
Yeah, it could do that. It could work. I mean, or was it in the? I think it was in the second Hulk movie with what's his face from American History X. They did have sort of like a super soldier created to take down the Hulk. And then it was only later on when he exposed himself to gamma rays, he became Abomination.
Oh, Robert Carlyle.
Yeah, so I mean, it is feasible to do that movie because we saw sort of that kind of action in that Hulk movie.
Trap brings up an interesting idea of bringing Red Hulk, because honestly, I would not like to see them undo what they did with Banner and everything from. Anything, because honestly, even though we don't see it on screen, I like the explanation we were given in Endgame that him and the Hulk, they kind of come to an agreement. They're like, hey, we need each other, so we can make each other better. So let's do it.
Oh yeah, and they became a bit of a mix of both.
Yeah, so I don't want to see Hulk revert. I wouldn't mind seeing Red Hulk brought in, and that one general who turns into Red Hulk. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about. Betsy Ross's dad.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Ross.
Trap. You have a good day.
Take care, Trap.
Yeah, Trap. You have a good one.
But yeah, it's like nobody really likes that guy.
Well, no, he was like, he was to Hulk what J. Jonah was to Spider-Man, wasn't he? It was,
in a lot of ways. Yeah. Although there are times I personally want to punch J. Jonah in the face. The character, not the actor. Not the actor who portrays him, because I like J.K. Simmons.
Oh my gosh, he's great. I'm glad they brought him back to play that role. That was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Now there's who could he play in X-Men? Ooh, Lightbulb. Well, he's kind of old though. I don't know if that would work. Who could we get? Who could we get J.K. Simmons to play an X-Men that would be good?
Oh, the guy who created the Sentinels. What's his name?
Bolivar Trask.
Yeah.
But we've already gotten a Bolivar Trask, and I thought, honestly, that was a perfect Bolivar Trask in terms of...
he does an amazing job.
Yeah, of, Peter Dinklage. I loved him as Bolivar Trask in Days of Future Past.
Okay.
He was alive when they announced him for Days of Future Past as that character. I was like, yes.
Oh, what was that? That senator. We saw him in the
Robert
first
Kelly.
X-Men.
Are you talking about Sabretooth's son?
Oh, Graydon Creed.
Creed. There we go. That's what
he could play an older Graydon Creed. Yeah, that could work. Because Creed was a mutant hater, and even though both his parents are mutants, because if you remember, Sabretooth and Mystique got together and went boop chicka wow wow.
Mystique has a lot of kids all over the place.
You think? Hey. There will be no mutant slut shaming here.
Please. one of her kids was bloody German. You know what I mean? She gave a whole new meaning to getting around. You know.
Well, that's what happens when you're a shapeshifter.
Okay. The actor that played Nightcrawler in the 90s, 2000 movies, I think he'd be great to bring back.
Oh, Alan Cummings.
Yes.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
I
Definitely.
It's like,
Kurt Wagner.
As known as the famous Nightcrawler in the Berlin Circus. And everybody's like, "Shut up, Kurt." It's almost as bad as "Shut up, Wesley." But
Yeah.
shut up. Has anyone ever seen those compilations on YouTube of people they've just compilated every time somebody says "Shut up, Wesley"?
I have.
those crack me up.
I think I've seen it on Twitter, but yeah.
RR says they need to transition Professor Hulk more towards Peter David version of the 90s, a full integration of Banner's three personalities: the abused child, the brainy nerd, and the college smarty.
That's a possibility.
Yeah. I don't think we really have seen that in any movies.
No, we haven't. Or cartoons or anything. No.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was one of the Hulk movies. I think it was with Eric Bana. You saw some sort of like bad childhood when it was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was supposed to lead. It was supposed to lead to something, but it never really did.
Because wasn't his dad Hulk? Or he had anger issues.
He was trying to.
Yeah.
And if you remember who played his dad in that movie,
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Nick Nolte. Yeah.
Nick Nolte, yeah. Mr.
Killed his
Crazy
mother.
Wild Man.
Well, he's not as crazy as Gary Busey, so that's something.
You know, if there's an interesting reality show, who could be crazier, Nick Nolte or Gary Busey? Crazy.
I just thought of another semi-minor character that'd be fun to see brought over.
Sure.
Talbot.
Talbot, I don't think I know that one.
Who?
Glenn Talbot.
Who the heck is that?
No.
General from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I haven't watched it.
Glenn Talbot, you said?
Yep. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, it says Glenn Talbot appears in the 1960s Marvel superheroes, appeared in 90s, 80s Incredible Hulk TV show, appeared in 1996 UPN animated series adaptation The Incredible Hulk. He was the spouse of Betty Ross.
And he's always the one on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now that is harassing Coulson and them.
Mm-hmm.
And just quick to the chat, the True 31, good to see you from over in Enosh's neck of the woods, bud. And thank you, I don't speak, I kind of speak for Phalon. Thank you for subscribing. She's a great lady.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
He's a guy I've met over on it. He actually has his channel of his own, actually.
Nice.
He's from another channel I've worked with and everything in the near past and everything. Guy's name is Enosh Pet. He has a channel called Poindexter Lounge. Biggest nerd over meat, and that's saying something because I'm a huge nerd myself, obviously, or I wouldn't be here talking X-Men.
He was in Ang Lee's Hulk movie.
We don't speak of that movie, RR. That movie does not exist. I have no idea what you're talking about. Ang Lee directed a movie. Why would the guy who did Crouching Tiger, Hairy Dragon do a comic book movie? Makes no sense. That movie simply that makes no logical sense. Ang Lee doesn't do comic book movies. He does kung fu, and he does it well.
Oh, it's that one. I like that one. I'm probably gonna be the only one that does like it.
Burn with fire. I'm joking.
But yeah, it's like Eric Bana was in it.
Drown it like a witch. She turned me into a newt. I got that.
Sorry. Monty Python
goes to his corner and hangs his head in shame.
But oh my gosh.
Nah. I don't know. I mean, he
said he's a good character. He is a jerk.
I mean, if they would bring out another X-Men movie, I'd love to see some of the other characters actually take on the front. I mean, we've seen Cyclops. We know Jean's story. Scott Summers' story, Wolverine's story, Jean Grey, and all that. Yeah, but let's bring forth Iceman, Colossus. Kitty
The creation
Pryde.
of X Factor.
Bring these guys forward a bit, and have them, because to be honest, I mean, keep Storm. I mean, Storm is one character you just can't get rid of.
Here's the thing. Now, here's something you could do, Continuum, just to bounce off that real quick, and then I'll shut up. There are two different teams in X-Men in the 90s. There's X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold. X-Men Gold is actually led by Storm, and it's a completely different team. I can't remember what the makeup is of that team, who all's on that particular part, but that could work. So, okay, I'm going to shut up now.
No,
the thing all these old X-Men movies missed out at is one of the characters that they needed in more was Kitty Pryde.
I'd agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
They just kind of eliminated her to just the little cameo bits, and she was like one of the main X-Men.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had what's-her-face player in Last Stand.
And Days of Future Past.
Yeah. What was her name? She played Juno in the movie Juno. What was her name? She gave that big tirade and everything when she came out as being a lesbian and everything about Jesse.
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page. Ellen, do us a favor. Just act and keep what you do in the bedroom to yourself. We don't care. Just act.
It could be interesting to watch.
I'm not interested. Sorry, I am not interested. I'm a happily married man. I don't care what Ellen Page does in her bedroom.
Okay, there is one villain that I am really upset that they just completely cut out of Storm's story. Shadow King.
Yep, I was about to say the same thing.
It's like Shadow King is one of the more powerful astral enemies that Xavier has,
Yep.
and I want to see that.
Yeah, because you really want to see somebody give Xavier a run for his money. I mean, Apocalypse kind of does in X-Men Apocalypse, but that's not his main realm. You want to see Xavier go head-to-head against one of the big astral bad boys, and that's Shadow King, because he pretty much exists as a non-corporeal being.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Because of what Xavier had to do to him to save Storm and a bunch of other children.
Yep,
because he was exploiting them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much nuked his body. He's like, well, crap, I have no body now. Oh, wait a minute, I can jump in just about anybody's body. Well, if you remember, they actually did a storyline. I think it was like a 2-parter in the 90s cartoon. So they've got groundwork and everything. They've just got to build up from it. Call it X-Men Psywar or something like that.
Right. And you know what? They can, because they've done this many times, and nobody really bats an eye when Batman gets rebooted, Superman gets rebooted, Spider-Man gets rebooted. So you could work with a movie that's not even connected to anything that's been in the past. And that would allow them more room, especially if they did like a Shadow King story. I know y'all are like, no more origin. Well, you might have to have a little bit of an origin for some of these stories.
Well, we don't need origin of the main characters that they've done over and over and over.
Oh, yeah.
Some origin of the new ones they want to introduce. But
they did that. They did that very well in First Class. You know, RR brings up a very good point, and he just dropped a huge name that's synonymous with X-Men. X-Men would need to should go back to Chris Claremont's 70s run. He captured the aerodynamics of the characters as well as the hostile world mutants had to deal with, and capture the feel of that world. Yeah, dude, spot on. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. Claremont was one of the biggest names. He's right up there with Kirby and Lee, who originally created it.
And if they want to go, if the writers and directors and all of them want to do that whole virtue signaling crap, they can always do it set in the 60s and the 70s during all that stuff.
Well,
and
they've already
and capture that's the story, like they were saying, the inner dynamics of the characters and how hostile the world would have been to them.
Well, here's a story I'm surprised nobody's brought up yet. God love, man kills. It's an X-Men story.
Okay.
Don't think I know that one.
They
I
actually
probably have, but I'm
they adapted a character from that storyline for X2. If you remember William Stryker, who was played, I think, very well by Brian Cox.
Yeah.
William Stryker was actually a very militant, exceedingly militant religious figure in that storyline. And essentially, he's trying to create an army and everything to go in and eliminate all mutants.
Yeah. It says right here, Magneto is investigating the murder of 2 mutant children who were killed by the henchmen of Reverend William Stryker, who murdered his wife and newborn son after his son, a deformed mutant child, was born.
Yeah.
Seeks the wholesale extermination of mutant kind while presenting himself to the public as a fire and brimstone preacher, spreading a message claiming that mutants are abominations in the eyes of God.
Yeah. So that's another possible storyline that they could work off of if they wanted to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I will say I think Brian Cox did a great job. I think what they did with that character in terms of X2, I didn't mind how they adapted that character for that particular story. So that was taking one particular element from a storyline and adapting it into a film and everything that people could follow. I mean, you could even say that Stryker's motivations were right along the same vein and everything as the character he was adapted from in the comics.
Absolutely.
As if you remember, Stryker wanted to kill all mutants.
Yeah, and they tried to make him a more sympathetic character, saying that he didn't kill his child after he was born. He sent the child to Xavier to quote unquote fix him, and the son came back and made Stryker kill his wife.
Well, no, the wife killed herself.
Okay, well, I'm trying to remember the movie.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Fallon. You're dealing with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
I thought the son made the mother kill herself.
Yeah, I think it has something to do with that. It's like, so.
Well, if you're, I hate to say this, I'm one of these people. I've got an endemic or photographic memory when it comes to movies. Stryker's talking to Xavier about that whole situation, and he's like, "My wife took a power drill to her temple to try and bore out the images that my son was playing to her head."
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And he blames Xavier for not fixing David. That was the name of the son.
Yeah, and he basically lobotomized his own son.
Yeah, and turned him into a bigger. Well, I hate to use the term, but a bigger freak.
Yeah,
than he already was. Put him in a wheelchair, hardwired his brain, and basically turned him into an anti-Xavier weapon.
Yeah.
And then
absolutely.
Well, they actually melded a little bit of Mastermind's abilities into David. If y'all remember Mastermind.
Somewhat.
He was a member of the Hellfire Club and everything. He had the ability to create illusions.
Like a big head, little body.
No, you're thinking of Brainchild. That was actually a character from the Savage Land and everything that worked first for Magneto and then worked for Mr. Sinister. No, Mastermind was a character that was a member of the Hellfire Club, and he had the ability to create these elaborate images and everything, or illusions in people's minds. You get a real good sense of that power, in particular in the 90s cartoon with the Dark Phoenix saga, when he's manipulating Jean Grey's mind and everything.
Oh yeah, trying to make her become the Red Queen, I think.
Black Queen of the Hellfire Club.
Oh.
Yeah, Black Queen. So.
Because I thought they had a Black Queen.
No, they had a White Queen, but I don't think they ever showed Emma Frost in the. No, I can't remember if they showed.
I thought there was Celine.
Celine, I don't think was ever a member of the Hellfire Club. I don't think. I could be wrong. But Mastermind and everything was his power base and everything was kind of used. Yeah, R and everything. He hits it and everything. He tries to trick him. He can create images and everything in your mind that make you believe you're living in different time periods or people that are different people or whatever. It's kind of reality warping, mutant ability, and everything, and they use that as part of the character for David in X2 because he does the same thing to Xavier.
That's true. Makes Xavier think he's a little girl.
Yeah. Not Xavier, the other guy.
No. He does that appearance because Xavier's because David tells him no more mutants. So I was like, oh boy, I see what you're nodding at.
Yeah, that would be a good story arc. Anyway, guys, I'm sorry to do this, but I have to go. I've got to go to bed. I've got to get up for work in the morning, I'm afraid.
Okay.
That's fine.
So,
we're probably going to end this at 5:30.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for having me on, Phalon. It's been great. And I'll see you guys around.
See you
All right.
later.
Happy to have
Bye.
you.
Good to see you, bud. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Yeah. RR is like Mastermind is the one who tricked Jean Grey. Yeah, that's what you're saying. Because I do remember that vaguely. I think it was not just Mastermind; it was Frost also, wasn't it?
No, because I don't remember Emma Frost being in the X-Men cartoon, the '90s one, anyway.
She was. It was the whole Hellfire. There was Shaw.
Okay.
There was
Sebastian Shaw. Yeah.
But she was only on those episodes with the Dark Phoenix. It was only a couple episodes she was in.
Yeah, she wasn't been there very extensively. So, and of course, you had the one guy that was a cyborg, and then you had the heavyset guy that could control like gravitational fields or whatever.
Are you talking about Blob?
No, not Blob. His name was Leland. No, because Blob was a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. That's who he was a part of. He wasn't part of the Hellfire Club. This was another heavy-set gentleman and everything whose name was Leland, and his mutant ability was
Harold Leland, Earth 16.
Say it one more time.
Harold Leland. That's from the Earth 616, which I think is the 90s universe.
Yeah. That sounds about right. R had an interesting idea. Great idea to place X-Men back in the 60s and 70s, and you could introduce the Fantastic Four in that timeline and have them create a parallel Marvel universe to go beside the present.
Here's something, it kind of totally steals it from DC, but Marvel and DC have been stealing each other stuff for years. But they could do the whole vibe thing where they have a device that allow them. Well, you know what? Deadpool has one. Jump between universes, timelines, because Deadpool was able to shoot Ryan Reynolds in the back of the head. So it's like there is precedence for it that you could do the 60s, 70s era of the past or an alternate past along with any future Marvel movies. But then that takes away any option for, like, say, like the idea I had said earlier about Peter going to a lecture for students about genetics from like Jean Grey or Professor Xavier or anything like that. So
I don't know. I think the whole time traveling stuff's getting wore out for a while. We need to
let it go away for a little bit.
Let it go.
Yeah, let it rest for a little bit and then bring it back or do something else. I think.
Yeah, especially since they did that with Captain America, and then he comes back an old man. I'm like, I thought, okay, so how many couple of 100 years was he gone away? Because I thought he aged really slowly.
Good question.
No, I don't think Cap ages slowly because all the super formula did was give him the increased speed, the strength, the agility. I don't think it messed with his.
Well, he has that super healing. Wouldn't it make sure nothing was aging, really? That's why I thought it was like the super healing kept his body from really, I don't want to say decaying, but from breaking down.
I don't know. They really never explained that much into it with the movie parts.
Yeah. It's like you could get more from the comics. Okay. Let's see. In the comic, Emma Frost helped to control Jean by messing with her mind and wittingly allowed her to lose control of the Phoenix Force and created the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that he hits it right on the head and everything. So
oh yeah, it's like if you're going to try to do Dark Phoenix again, you're going to need to go full in.
Yeah, again, that's why I say miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have to be at least a 10 to 12 part miniseries, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dark Phoenix, the Phoenix Saga is a slow burn. It's not a quick burn.
Oh, I agree. There's so many stories that they could tell, and it would take so long because there are so many moving parts to it.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, I mean, we obviously know that they're doing a series of Marvel TV shows or anything, or series or anything on Disney Plus. So, depending on how well those are received, and I'm hoping that they do well, just because I'm a Marvel nut. I'm also starting to. DC's growing on me. I've been a supporter of DC, but it's really starting to grow on me considering everything that's going on right now with it. I'm not saying I'm jumping on a bandwagon by any means, but I'm a comic nut. I love good comics, and DC has put out good stuff. And, I've said this on previous streams. I am all for healthy competition, and I think if DC does well, I think that's going to force Marvel/Disney to up their game.
Oh yeah,
and that for me is a net plus.
Absolutely,
because
I am also agreeing with the things being said right now about the Cap survived 70 years frozen without aging in the movies. And I was going to say that it's cryostasis, I would think.
Yeah, that's what DJ just said. It's like cryo sleep.
It'd be more like cryo. Everything was slowed down to such a slow rate. Mm-hmm. That's why he wouldn't age. Because in the movie, when he went back in time, he only went back to the 40s and lived out his life with Peggy.
Right. So Cap's power slows his aging, but the comics never do make that connection. Being at the peak of human abilities at least makes him age well compared to the average human.
Yeah. So
I think you could argue the whole Captain America aging and his abilities to the cows come home.
Yeah, very true.
But still, it's like, I would need a lot of people that know the comics well enough to answer those questions, that they live, breathe those.
Well, the thing you have to remember is we've even gotten series that show Wolverine in his old age.
That's true.
I would have been.
I think he's like 200 years old or older.
Give or take. Because where they start him off in Origin, which tells his backstory, it's like the 1880s or 1890s.
Yeah. When was the Civil War? Because it
1860s.
Okay, because it shows him and Creed fighting in the Civil War.
Yeah. So
and in Logan, they explained that it was the poisoning in his body, which was breaking down everything, and that's why he was starting to age.
Right.
Or Logan would have went on for hundreds of more years.
Yeah.
That's true. I do agree with that.
That was the only thing that bummed me out about Logan was the fact that the thing that made him strong also made him eventually start to die.
Yeah.
So that's a bummer right there. But I guess at the same time you have to think, what happens when you inject a metal into a human's body, even a mutant's body? So,
But I was trying to find online there's one on the Pine Trust thing that says Captain America isn't immortal. Presumably, he does age normally, despite the super soldier serum.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I know this is a little bit off topic, but do y'all remember that comic series where Captain America gets brainwashed or triggered by Hydra, and he's saying Hell Hydra?
That was relatively recent,
Yeah.
I think.
That was one of the newer ones recently.
Yeah, what did y'all think about when that happened?
I've never actually read it, so I can't really give you an opinion.
Okay.
So.
And I only seen bits and pieces of it, and I think it was just a marketing ploy to sit there and try to sell more comics.
Oh, yeah, there were people with mixed reactions for him saying Hell Hydra.
Yeah.
Like,
but we saw it in the movies.
Yeah, but that was played for laughs, and I was okay with it. It worked.
Oh, yeah, they were trying to play it off like he was always part of Hydra in the comic until they had such a bad backlash.
Yeah, because, here's the pitfall, unfortunately, with them trying to do anything new X-Men now. And I don't ever want to sound like an alarmist. I don't like sounding like an alarmist and everything. But I'm just, as a friend of mine who also is here on YouTube says, he doesn't trust the current iteration of the entertainment industry to handle anything appropriately, if not with extreme supervision. So.
Oh, yeah. I will agree to that. It's great to theorize, hey, this would be great if they could do this and this, and we could get the right these directors, these writers, these cast members, if they were willing to come back and reprise roles. Because I know that the original actress for Jean said she wants to reprise the role of Jean. But like you said, can't really trust them not to screw it up.
Well, in RR, you've got his comment highlighted here. Depending on the storyline, Wolverine is pretty much immortal. Logan, the movie, is based on the Logan the Death miniseries. And actually, so it's hard to say what's canon anymore.
Well,
and unfortunately, that's true.
Well, they had to do that because Hugh Jackman's getting old. He can't keep up with Wolverine. They had to do something.
And honestly, I can, I'll say this for Hugh Jackman, except for maybe, and I know he did his best with Origins, and I applaud him for that. I mean, he tried.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't blame him.
He did what he could with the script he had, which is what we've been saying earlier. It's like, you can't really blame the actors and actresses, though people do. It's the writing.
Yes.
No, I give Capaldi all credit for doing what he did with what he had.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like they can, you can do what you can with garbage, but.
Well, I've even made that argument. I think everybody would agree with this. The thing for me, and this was way off topic. The thing for me with the prequels is the actors and actresses did the best they could with what they were given. George Lucas is not a scriptwriter. He tells stories through image, and he does it exceedingly well. I think he does it probably better than anybody else, except for maybe Zack Snyder, who I put right along the same vein as Lucas. but it's hard to find it's hard to find a director who's also just as good a script writer as they are a director.
Right.
Peter Jackson is one of those rare exceptions, although he did have Fran Walsh and Philip Blaines working with him on the script for Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
But it is hard to find a director who can write a good script. And I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody else says. Johnson can't write a script to save his life. I don't care how many people praise Knives Out till hell freezes over. That's quite
I
literally
haven't seen
what
that one. I heard it's good.
I refuse to see it. I outright refuse to see it. I will not ever give that man a drop of money the rest of my life. I don't care. If I want to watch a good whodunit, I'll go watch Clue, which I actually need to do. I've never actually seen it all the way through.
Oh my gosh, there are so many endings.
Yeah, I know. I would rather watch Clue, a good whodunit, compared to his woke Clue called Knives Out. I don't care how good the cast is. I don't care how many people say, "Oh, you need to watch Knives Out." No, never. And I swear, if they bring Johnson anywhere near Marvel, I will drive out to Hollywood. I will drive to whoever's house I have to. I will fight through whose security detail I have to fight through, and I will say, "You get Johnson the hell away from Marvel. He doesn't belong here. And if you don't, something bad gonna happen."
Oh my god.
That's how much I did. That's how much I did. Go ahead.
Right now, Disney is in so much trouble because they've lost so much money, billions of dollars.
You think?
And now they're like double, triple checking every bit of their properties, trying to not lose more money. So honestly, I don't think they would bring Johnson back because so many people hate him for what he did to Star Wars, and they're worried about how to do Star Wars. Because I don't think those Star Wars movies are going to get made.
They've got a formula that's going to work. And actually, we've kind of missed these two guys, or at least one of these guys, Jon Favreau. I would trust Jon Favreau with X-Men, but he's working on Star Wars right now.
Yeah,
I would trust. I don't know Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is more Star Wars, which I want to leave him there. That's what he's doing good. So leave him where he's doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Leave him alone. Let him do Star Wars. Although, hypothetically speaking, I think Dave Filoni could do an X-Men movie relatively competently, or even do an X-Men live-action series competently.
Mm-hmm.
But leave him alone. Let him do Star Wars. That's his love. And I'm fine with that. So, but yeah, no. Disney, if you're listening, you give Johnson a trilogy. I cancel my subscription to Plus. I tell all my friends to do the same. And I guarantee you, my friends, which I have a lot of, will listen. And they will flee Disney Plus like a sinking ship. You will see a mass, I guarantee you, if Disney even hints at, "Oh, we're looking at Johnson to direct Star Wars," bye-bye. You just killed your streaming platform because no one will watch it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what a lot of big YouTubers have been saying. At least the ones that are like Fandom Menace, Fandom Collective.
I'm not Fandom Menace. I'm not
me either. I'm not Fandom Menace either. But
now, I do work with Fandom Collective. I like those guys. They're good people. That's why I work with them. I don't care about their affiliations. Could care one whit.
Yeah, but I was saying, it's like people are like, they don't want anything that's been connected to that trilogy. People still trash Kathleen Kennedy over her mess. I'm done with all that. I don't care about her.
I'm done with that. Honestly, I'm actually gonna do a video this week talking about negativity on YouTube because it's something I think needs to be discussed. But that's a topic for.
Okay, I actually agree with that because there is way too much negativity. There's a ton of people I followed back a couple of years ago when the whole thing blew up on the whole fandom thing, but I've kind of stopped watching a lot of YouTubers because that's all they're saying. Negativity. That's why I cover a lot of comic movie news. Because, hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? The Mortal Kombat movie is going to be more violent than the last one. It's going to be more true to the game.
Yeah.
They're talking about a Constantine movie, Keanu Reeves, and all this other stuff. It's like, that's stuff people want to know.
Yeah, well, the thing that's going on right now, and it's actually going on, it was yesterday and today, is JusticeCon, and that was put on by 3 YouTubers, literally. Wonder Meg, who I follow on Twitter. I think I'm subscribed to her channel. I can't remember. And 2 other ladies. And they put this thing together. They got interviews with Zack Snyder, I think with Deborah Snyder, with Ray Fisher, and a bunch of others that are connected with the Snyder Cut. And then, of course, next month, you're getting DC Fandom. Right now, Warner, everything, or more particular DC, has got a lot of fan goodwill, particularly with the Zack Snyder Justice League. So DC is going to start, I think they're going to start ramping up things, and they're going to start giving Marvel a run for their money. And like I said before, I am all for it. I'm a comic book person. I love comics.
I think it's great that DC is reaching out to the fans or at least accepting stuff. Marvel won't do that kind of thing. DC will.
Here's the thing, though. You want to know, and this is the crazy thing for me. This is the crazy fact about all this. AT&T. They have put money into Warner. They've put money into DC, and they're saying, listen to the freaking fans.
Really?
If it hadn't been for AT&T really pushing, saying, we want to give the people what they want. Why? Because we want to make money.
They're smart.
Yeah. It's a capitalist. Despite what some people want to say on the fringes, this is a capitalist market.
It is.
It's a supply and demand.
We want capitalism.
Capitalism good. Socialism bad. Capitalism good. Communism evil.
Basically. And capitalism, how do you think YouTubers get big? Capitalism.
Mm-hmm. Essentially. So, but yeah, DC is, I think the stronger they get, Marvel's going to have to follow suit and say, okay, DC is a legitimate contender now. We've got to up our game. We have got to up our game.
And absolutely.
And for me is nothing but a positive.
Oh, I agree. It's like big YouTubers like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, he's even said on his videos, it's like, hey, I would love to do interviews with the directors, the writers, and all this other stuff, and they won't approach him at all.
No, because I think he's trying to right his ship. From what I have heard, I've heard whispers here and there. I think he's trying to right his ship, and he's trying to change his angle, which I hate. More power to him. I will never. The only people I will ever speak out against are those that are hostilely negative, not satirically negative. Like playing it for laughs.
Right, exactly.
Or people who that are essentially rumor mills that just deal in rumor. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Rumors get you nowhere.
Right.
Bring us facts, not rumors. And I'm not going to name names here. I won't even name names tomorrow when I do my video. But one, because
it was me.
I wasn't DJ. Shut up. And I say that as a friend. No, it wasn't.
But yeah, I understand you want to stay away from rumor mills because we want to give people the best truth that we can. And I'm not saying because there's one guy I used to watch, but his stuff is so inaccurate now. And he used to be really well trusted. But it's like we want to give people accurate information because I want accurate information because I might actually get excited about something. Because right now everything kind of sucks. But yeah, it's like honestly, movies and television don't get me excited anymore. I stopped watching the Emmys and Golden Globes a long time ago.
Wait a minute. There's some movies that are coming up that you should be excited for.
Okay, Matrix 4. No. Bill and Ted.
Bill and Ted's one.
Uh-huh.
Ghostbusters is another.
That is true. But yeah, I'm kind of apprehensive. So
Are you
I guess you could say apprehensively hopeful. It's like,
are we talking about Bill and Ted Face the Music?
Yep.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to that. I saw the trailer. The trailer didn't overly impress me, but it intrigued me enough to be like, I'll give this a shot.
yeah.
If they come out with another trailer in the near future and they show more, and I'm like, okay, I can see where they're going. I can dig this. I can work with
They
this.
just dropped another trailer like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, they did. I think they dropped one on Thursday or Friday, and I actually watched it. That's the one I'm actually mentioning. I'd be, it looks like they're almost playing the daughters to be kind of as doofy and goofy as the fathers are. So
I would be okay with that.
I would too. And, as long as they don't as long as they're not trying to do the same thing to Bill and Ted that they did with, Luke Skywalker, I'm okay with that. If they're playing them just to be the doofy losers, just older now, I'm fine with that because that's in keeping with their character.
Okay, here's one thing I have concern with.
Sure.
It doesn't seem to fit along the lines of the last Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah, the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yes.
The one thing I'm concerned about is I'm trying to figure out how they're going to explain it being daughters, because didn't they say in this second
Yeah, they
one-
had boys.
Yeah, they had boys.
Unless these are their the boys' younger sisters.
They play it off like that, fine. But if they just
are we sure that the two infants were girls?
I will
or
look
boys?
it up.
I could have swore that I don't think they said what gender the kids were. So it
No,
could
they
work.
gave names, I think.
Huh?
I think they gave the names of the kids, of the boys.
Yeah, but I think they gave them and I hate to use this term, gender neutral names. So they could be either.
Okay, it says, there's an actual article that says, Bill and Ted creator explains why they now have daughters in Face the Music.
Okay, what's the explanation?
Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if I can. Okay, however, many have assumed Bill and Ted had sons at the end of Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. Thankfully, co-writer and creator Ed Solomon has cleared that up for us. Ed Solomon was basically called out on social media for changing the sexes of Bill and Ted's daughters in Face the Music. The fan called the change a case of forced diversity and said that the idea is box office poison. Solomon decided to respond at length to the social media comment as to why Bill and Ted have daughters. He had this to say. Okay. Let me deal with this directly. This has nothing to do with Hollywood. This is a creative choice based on many things, not the least of which is that we did young Bill and Ted as boys. They were called Bill and Ted. To do so again would be boring and derivative. Despite its flaws, many were script problems. One of the things I'm proudest with Bogus Journey, we should have kept the original title, Bill and Ted Go to Hell. Was most decidedly not a rehash. Let's see.
Yeah, because in this latest trailer, it actually shows the daughters that are literally in hell.
Yeah.
Of course, there's not a metaphoric hell. There's only a literal hell.
Right.
At least if you're a person of faith.
Oh, you scroll down farther, and he says this one, like it or not, is not a rehash either of itself.
Yeah, we take this very seriously, and we made this decision for personal creative reasons, for what we thought was best for the movie, period, and we made it a long time ago. But at the end of the day, it's just a comedy, written from the heart, but designed to entertain. That's it. But if you really want to treat it like Talmudic text over which you need to pour for hints and actual intent, the original Little Bill and Little Ted were played by Candace and Lauren Mead, the two kids, the two girls.
Ah, so they were girls. So, yeah. They could almost be nicknames even. They could have, they could just be called Little Billy. Well, Billy could be a Wilhelmina, or whatever, and Ted could be Theodora. That could work.
Little Bill could just be for Billy.
Yeah, Billy, because Billy could be a girl's name, and Teddy or Theodora is a girl's name.
Okay, so how we said was I think we said the cast. I need to double check to see if it's true. If the actresses that are playing Bill and Ted, the girls, are the actresses that played the babies.
Well, I don't think they're the same.
No, because they'd be way older.
Okay.
They would be way older because the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, didn't they come out like the mid-90s?
91.
Okay, early 90s. So the girls, those kids would be a lot older than those two actresses are now.
Okay.
So,
but yeah, it's like
now Dragon Majesty brings up a good point and everything. They could say that the daughters have older brothers to fix it. That's a possibility too.
Yes, I just looked at the credits, and uncredited for both childs was Candace and Lauren Mead.
Okay, so it is. They are girls.
Yeah, they are girls.
They always were.
And people like to have strange names for kids.
Yes, especially
Apple,
like Bill and Ted.
Peach.
Don't get me started on Apple. Apple, what's her face? Apple.
You could have a female named Michael Burnham.
Why do you got to bring her up?
Take him out of the stream.
I don't hate the actress. I hate the role she had to play.
I loved her in Walking Dead.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I loved her in Walking Dead, but the character of Michael Burnham, no.
I'm just going to say I'm going to bounce here in just a minute and everything.
Okay, I was about to say I'm going to close up shop. So if y'all want to plug your channels.
Okay, yeah. If we're done, that's fine. I'll go ahead. DJ, I yield the floor to the older.
I'll let you go first.
Nope, you first.
Oh, sure.
I have spoken. You go first.
This is the way.
No,
all right.
I have spoken.
I'm the odd one, DJ Odyssey. We do random streams. We do random topics most nights. Monday nights at 6 p.m. Central, because Central is the only time zone that's important.
Indeed.
The talk. So we sit there and just talk about one subject, and once in a while we will do chat box and other fun things on the streams. And I'm done.
And I just want to say to whoever Brian Nesh now Wendeshe is, thank you for subscribing. You just put me at 317 subscribers. So thank you.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
You're at 500 some odd, DJ.
I went backwards 6 in the last 4 days.
Oh my God.
That happens to everybody. Quit your whining.
But
would you like some cheese? Would you like some fine French cheese for that wine?
But I've got 8,000 watch hours.
Holy
Good
Hannah.
for you. What do you want, a gold star and a cookie?
I'd love a cookie.
I want a cookie.
Put the
cookie
down.
We will catch y'all on the flip side.